Have you ever wondered why some old Japanese cars just refuse to die? While modern vehicles drown you in sensors, software updates, and fragile complexity, there was a time when engineers built machines like their reputations depended on it. This isn't nostalgia talking. This is about a golden era when durability wasn't a marketing slogan, it was a sacred promise. You're about to discover 10 Japanese vehicles that didn't just survive the decades, they conquered them. And as we count down, each one reveals another layer of how deep that obsession with longevity really went. At number 10, the Toyota Land Cruiser FJ60 arrives like a steel-forged time capsule from an era when durability meant everything, and comfort came second. Built from 1980 to 1990, this full-size SUV stretches roughly 184 inches in overall length, with a wheelbase just under 107 inches. Riding on a traditional body-on-frame platform that feels closer to industrial equipment than a family vehicle. The boxy exterior isn't trying to be trendy. It's functional, with flat panels, upright glass, and massive steel bumpers designed to take hits without flinching. Under the hood sits the legendary 4.2-liter 2F inline-6, pushing out modest horsepower, but delivering torque in a slow, unstoppable wave, paired to a rugged 4-speed manual or automatic and a dual-range transfer case that makes true low-range crawling feel effortless. Solid axles front and rear, leaf springs built for punishment, and generous ground clearance gave it real off-road authority long before crossovers pretended to be tough. Inside, you get simple analog gauges, durable cloth or vinyl seats, and controls that feel mechanical and honest. No complicated electronics, no fragile driver aids, just straightforward engineering. The strengths are obvious: extreme longevity, easy serviceability, incredible aftermarket support, and a reputation for crossing deserts with nothing more than routine oil changes. Weaknesses exist too: fuel economy that hovers in the low teens, slow highway acceleration, and handling that reminds you this machine was built for trails, not tight corners. Yet that simplicity is exactly why examples in Australia, Africa, and the Middle East routinely surpass 700,000 miles. Today, clean models command anywhere from $20,000 to over $40,000 depending on condition, proof that the market recognizes what this truck represents. The FJ60 wasn't overstyled, it was overbuilt, engineered with thick steel frames, heavy-duty driveline components, and rust protection that still holds up decades later. It became so reliable that owners kept them for life, passing them down instead of trading them in. And that's the real secret here. This wasn't just an SUV, it was Toyota building a machine that could outlast trends, outlast harsh climates, and maybe even outlast you. Then at number 9, the Honda Civic 4th generation proves beyond any doubt that a compact economy car can carry the heart of a tank. Built on a lightweight front-wheel drive platform, this Civic measured about 164 inches long, with a wheelbase just over 98 inches, compact on the outside, but cleverly packaged inside to maximize cabin space. Under the hood, you'd find engines like the 1.5-liter and 1.6-liter SOHC inline 4s, including the legendary D and early B series variants, producing modest horsepower numbers on paper, but delivering incredible efficiency and durability in the real world. Multi-point fuel injection, precise valve timing design, and low internal friction allowed these engines to rev freely while staying under stress at highway speeds. The result was fuel economy often exceeding 30 to 40 miles per gallon, and is combined with engines that routinely cross 300,000 or even 400,000 miles with nothing more than oil changes, timing belt service, and basic upkeep. The 5-speed manual transmission became a benchmark for smoothness, short throws, mechanical precision, and a clutch that could handle years of daily abuse without complaint. Suspension design with double wishbones up front gave the car surprisingly sharp handling for its class, while maintaining ride comfort and long-term durability. Inside, materials were simple but resilient. Dashboards resisted cracking, switchgear stayed solid, and seats held their shape far longer than rivals. Strengths included outstanding reliability, low operating costs, easy maintenance, and a thriving aftermarket community. Weaknesses were modest crash protection by modern standards and limited power in base trims. But that simplicity is exactly why these cars survived. In Southeast Asia and other developing markets, fourth-gen Civics became taxi legends, generating income for years before major repairs were even considered. Today, clean examples range widely in price depending on trim and condition, but well-preserved models are increasingly sought after by enthusiasts who recognize their mechanical honesty. Honda didn't just build a cheap commuter here. They engineered a compact car with discipline, precision, and pride, treating reliability not as a feature, but as a responsibility to you, the driver. At number 8, the Nissan Patrol Y60 stormed onto the global stage with one clear mission: prove that Nissan could match and even outlast the toughest machines on Earth. Built on a fully boxed ladder frame chassis, the Y60 stretched roughly 184 to 190 inches in length, depending on body style, with a wheelbase around 116 inches on the four-door version, giving it a planted, confident stance that screamed durability. Under the hood, you'd find legendary power plants like the 4.2-liter TB, 42 gasoline inline-6, or the TD42 diesel, engines known not for flashy horsepower numbers, but for relentless low-end torque and mechanical simplicity. Cast iron blocks, gear-driven components, minimal electronics, and straightforward fuel systems meant fewer failure points and easier field repairs. Solid axles front and rear, paired with coil spring suspension, delivered both articulation and load-carrying strength, while a proper dual-range transfer case and manual locking hubs gave it serious off-road credibility. Inside, the design was functional and tough, with durable cloth seats, large analog gauges, and controls built to be used with dusty gloves. Strengths included extreme drivetrain longevity, excellent off-road capability, and the ability to handle heavy towing and overlanding setups without complaint. Weaknesses were predictable: thirsty fuel consumption, heavy steering feel, and a ride that reminded you this was a truck first and foremost. Yet in Africa, Australia, and the Middle East, Patrols regularly surpassed 500,000 miles in punishing desert heat, often with basic maintenance and little mechanical sympathy. Owners overloaded cargo areas, mounted rooftop tents, added steel bumpers and winches, and still these trucks kept climbing dunes and crossing continents. Today, clean Y60 models command strong prices in enthusiast markets, especially diesel variants prized for their longevity. The Patrol didn't rely on luxury features or electronic wizardry to earn respect. It earned it the hard way, through decades of punishment, proving that true toughness isn't about marketing claims. It's about surviving where others fail and continuing forward like the terrain doesn't matter. Number 7 brings us to the Toyota Hilux, a mid-size pickup that didn't just earn a reputation for toughness, it defined the word. Built on a rugged body on frame platform, this generation measured roughly 174 to 184 inches in overall length, depending on cab and bed configuration, with wheelbases ranging from about 103 to 112 inches, giving it compact maneuverability combined with serious load capability. Under the hood lived legends like the 2.4-liter 22R and fuel-injected 2RE inline-4 engines, power plants built with thick cast iron blocks, forged internals, and a timing chain setup designed to outlast belts by hundreds of thousands of miles. Output numbers were modest, often under 120 horsepower, but torque delivery was steady and dependable. They perfectly matched to durable 5-speed manual transmissions and a proper dual-range transfer case in 4-wheel drive models. Solid rear axles with leaf springs allowed payload capacities that owners routinely exceeded, sometimes dramatically, without catastrophic failure. The interior was simple and utilitarian, with hard-wearing materials, straightforward analog gauges, and controls that felt mechanical and honest. Strengths included extreme drivetrain longevity, ease of repair, massive global parts availability, and real off-road capability. Weaknesses were equally clear: slow highway acceleration, basic safety by modern standards, and a stiff unloaded ride typical of leaf-sprung trucks. Yet, across farms, construction sites, deserts, jungles, and even conflict zones, the Hilux became the default choice because it could survive abuse that would cripple most vehicles. Engines have been documented running well past 400,000 or 500,000 miles with minimal internal work, often maintained with nothing more than regular oil changes. Today, clean examples command surprisingly strong prices in enthusiast markets, especially well-preserved four-wheel drive models. The truth is simple. This truck was engineered with a level of mechanical honesty that feels rare today. It wasn't fast, it wasn't luxurious, but it was relentless. And that relentless durability is exactly why low-mileage survivors are nearly impossible to find. Sliding into number 6, the Mazda RX-7 FC steps forward to challenge one of the biggest myths in automotive culture, that rotary engines are ticking time bombs. Mazda understood the doubt, and instead of backing down, they refined the 1.3-liter 13B rotary with obsessive precision. This second-generation RX-7 measured about 169 inches in length, with a wheelbase just under 96 inches, low, wide, and purpose-built for balance. The lightweight chassis paired near perfect weight distribution with a sophisticated independent suspension setup, featuring struts up front and a multi-link rear that delivered sharp handling without sacrificing structural integrity. Naturally aspirated and turbocharged variants were available, with turbo models producing well over 180 horsepower in period. Impressive numbers for a car weighing around 2,800 pounds. The real story, though, was engineering discipline. Mazda reinforced apex seal durability, optimized oil metering, and designed a cooling system robust enough to manage the rotary's high revving nature. When properly maintained with consistent oil changes and careful warm-up routines, many owners reported 200,000 to even 300,000 miles on original engines, something critics claimed was impossible. The 5-speed manual transmission was tight and mechanical, encouraging spirited driving, while 4-wheel disc brakes and responsive steering gave the FC real sports car credibility. Strengths included exceptional balance, smooth high-rev performance, and a unique engine character unlike anything with pistons. Weaknesses were clear too: the fuel economy that lagged behind 4-cylinder rivals, and a need for disciplined maintenance that punished neglect. Yet drifters, track enthusiasts, and daily drivers proved that when respected, the FC could endure years of hard use. Today, clean examples are climbing in value, especially well-preserved turbo models, as enthusiasts recognize this car wasn't fragile, it was misunderstood. The RX-7 FC stands as proof that innovation doesn't have to sacrifice longevity, and that a carefully engineered rotary in the right hands can be just as enduring as any conventional engine. At number 5, the Mitsubishi Pajero, known in many markets as the Montero, took the brutality of desert rally racing and handed it directly to everyday drivers. This second-generation SUV rode on a reinforced ladder frame platform with an overall length of roughly 183 to 190 inches, depending on body style, and a wheelbase stretching up to about 107 inches on the 4-door model, giving it stability on highways and confidence on broken terrain. Under the hood, buyers could choose from durable gasoline, V6 engines like the 3.0-liter 6G72, or proven diesel options such as the 2.5-liter 4 D56 turbo diesel, both engineered to survive extreme temperatures and inconsistent fuel quality. Power figures were respectable for the era, but the real focus was torque delivery and long-term durability rather than outright speed. That's one of its standout technologies was the Super Select 4-wheel drive system, an advanced setup for its time that allowed drivers to shift between 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive high, even at speed, while still offering a true low range for serious off-road work. Unlike many part-time systems, Super Select provided flexibility without sacrificing strength, and it proved remarkably resilient even when owners misunderstood how to use it. Independent front suspension improved ride comfort compared to older solid axle rivals, while a strong rear axle maintained load-carrying capability. Inside, the Pajero offered a practical cabin with durable materials, generous cargo space, and elevated seating that enhanced visibility on trails and highways alike. Strengths included genuine off-road capability, reliable drivetrains, and strong towing capacity, and global parts availability. Weaknesses were predictable: fuel consumption that could be heavy, and aging interior plastics in high-mileage examples. Yet, across deserts, mountain passes, and remote regions in Australia, Africa, and the Middle East, these SUVs routinely crossed hundreds of thousands of miles with consistent maintenance. Today, clean second-generation models remain sought after by overlanding enthusiasts who value mechanical simplicity and proven endurance. The Pajero was never about flashy luxury. It was about engineering confidence, a machine built not just to survive extreme environments, but to carry you through them without hesitation. Number 4, the Subaru legacy and its rugged sibling, the Subaru Outback, quietly rewrote the rulebook on what affordable all-wheel drive reliability could look like. Riding on a unibody platform with an overall length of about 179 inches and a wheelbase near 103 inches, the Legacy offered a balanced footprint that felt stable at highway speeds yet confident on slick back roads. At the heart of its reputation sat the 2.2-liter EJ22 flat 4-boxer engine, producing roughly 130 horsepower. Not a headline-grabbing figure, but delivered with smoothness and durability that became legendary. Unlike later 2.5-liter variants known for head gasket failures, the EJ22 was understressed, built with robust internals and conservative tuning that allowed many examples to exceed 300,000 or even 400,000 miles with routine maintenance. The symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive system was mechanical and straightforward, constantly sending power to all 4 wheels without relying on fragile electronic intervention, giving drivers consistent traction in snow, rain, and gravel. Independent suspension at all corners improved ride comfort while maintaining predictable handling, and ground clearance in the early Outback models was increased to handle rougher terrain without sacrificing daily usability. Inside, the design was simple and ergonomic, with durable cloth seats, clear analog gauges, and practical cargo space, especially in wagon form. Strengths included outstanding foul weather capability, engine longevity, balanced handling, and reasonable fuel economy for an all-wheel drive vehicle. Its weaknesses involved modest power output and susceptibility to rust in the harsh salt belt climates, though many survived thanks to solid factory undercoating. In northern states where winters are brutal and roads are soaked in salt, these cars kept starting, gripping and moving forward long after flashier competitors disappeared. The formula was not glamorous. It was disciplined engineering, mechanical simplicity, and a focus on function over flash. And sometimes that straightforward approach is exactly what makes a car unforgettable. At number 3 sits the Lexus LS400, the sedan that didn't just enter the luxury arena, it detonated it. When Toyota launched Lexus, the mission was clear. Don't simply match the Europeans, out-engineer and outlast them. The first-gen LS400 rode on a rear-wheel drive platform with an overall length of about 196 inches and a wheelbase just over 110 inches, giving it long, elegant proportions and exceptional highway stability. Beneath the hood lived the masterpiece 4.0-liter 1UZ-FE V8, producing around 250 horsepower with turbine-like smoothness. This all-aluminum quad-cam engine was balanced with extreme precision, featuring 6-bolt main bearings, forged internals, and tolerances so tight it redefined production standards. Paired with a silky 4-speed automatic transmission, the drivetrain delivered seamless acceleration while proving astonishingly durable, with many owners reporting 400,000 to 500,000 miles without major internal repairs. The suspension combined double wishbones front and rear for composed handling and comfort, while extensive sound insulation created a cabin quieter than many rivals, costing thousands more. Inside, the LS400 showcased real wood trim, supple leather, soft touch materials, and switchgear engineered to function flawlessly decades later. Strengths included exceptional build quality, long-term engine reliability, smooth ride comfort, and low maintenance costs compared to European competitors. Weaknesses were minimal, but included conservative styling and high repair costs for neglected air suspension in certain trims. In extreme climates, from scorching Middle Eastern deserts to high-mileage taxi fleets, these cars proved that refinement and resilience were not opposites. Today, well-preserved examples remain highly sought after, often priced surprisingly reasonably given their engineering pedigree. The LS400 was not just a luxury sedan. It was Toyota demonstrating that precision, discipline, and relentless quality control could create a vehicle that felt expensive, drove flawlessly, and simply refused to wear out. At number 2, the Toyota Corolla E100 might look modest at first glance, but this unassuming compact became one of the most quietly indestructible machines ever built. Measuring roughly 170 inches in length with a wheelbase around 97 inches, it was perfectly sized for crowded cities, yet stable enough for long highway runs. Under the hood lived engines like the 1.6-liter 4AFE and 1.8-liter 7AFE inline fours. Simple naturally aspirated power plants built with cast iron blocks, aluminum heads, and conservative tuning that prioritized longevity over excitement. Horsepower figures hovered in the low hundreds, but these engines were understressed, smooth, and famously tolerant of inconsistent maintenance. Paired with rugged 5-speed manual gearboxes or straightforward 3- and 4-speed automatics, the drivetrain proved nearly impossible to kill. Fuel economy regularly exceeded 30 miles per gallon, making it affordable to run in any market. Suspension design was basic but durable, with McPherson struts up front and a torsion beam rear setup that handled rough roads without drama. Inside, the cabin materials were simple yet resilient. Dashboards resisted cracking, and seats held up to years of daily use. Strengths included low ownership costs, exceptional reliability, easy maintenance, and global parts availability. Weaknesses were predictable: modest acceleration, minimal luxury features, and styling that blended into traffic. Yet that invisibility became its superpower. In developing nations across Africa, Southeast Asia, and the Middle East, the E100 Corolla became a backbone of local economies, serving as taxis, delivery vehicles, and family transport running nearly non-stop. Odometers crossing 300,000 or 400,000 miles became routine rather than remarkable. Even when overloaded or poorly maintained, these cars kept starting every morning. Today, clean examples remain affordable compared to many classics, yet their reputation continues to grow among enthusiasts who understand what true mechanical honesty looks like. The Corolla E100 didn't demand attention. It simply earned respect by outlasting almost everything around it. And finally, at number 1, the Toyota 4Runner claims the crown as the ultimate symbol of Toyota's overbuilt golden era. Riding on a traditional body on frame chassis shared with the Hilux pickup, this SUV stretched roughly 176 inches in length with a wheelbase around 103 inches, compact enough for tight trails yet solid and planted on the highway. Thick box steel frame rails, a solid rear axle with leaf springs, and independent front suspension created a balance of durability and everyday usability that few competitors matched. Under the hood, buyers could choose the legendary 2.4-liter 2.2 RE inline 4, producing modest horsepower but extraordinary longevity, or the 3.0-liter 3VZE V6, offering stronger performance while still delivering impressive durability when maintained properly. The 22RE in particular became almost mythical. With cast iron construction, timing chain reliability, and simple electronic fuel injection that allowed engines to surpass 300,000 or even 400,000 miles with routine care. Available 5-speed manual and 4-speed automatic transmissions were equally tough, and the dual-range transfer case gave it true off-road capability rather than cosmetic toughness. Inside, the cabin was practical and durable, with upright visibility, straightforward controls, and materials designed to endure years of abuse. Strengths included exceptional drivetrain longevity, strong aftermarket support, real off-road capability, and impressive resale value that remains strong today. Weaknesses were limited power by modern standards, aging safety features, and fuel economy that rarely impressed. Yet what set the second-gen 4Runner apart was its fearless redundancy. Its components were over-engineered, tolerances forgiving, and systems simple enough to keep functioning even when partially compromised. Owners tell stories of limping home with failing components that would strand other SUVs instantly. Yet the 4Runner kept crawling forward. Even today, clean examples command high prices because buyers know what they represent. This wasn't just another sport utility vehicle. It was Toyota building a machine with the expectation that you might keep it for decades, and many people did. So, now I'll ask you this. When was the last time you saw a modern vehicle that felt truly immortal? These machines weren't perfect. They weren't flashy, but they were honest, brutally honest about their purpose. They were built to last. And if you're lucky enough to own one today, you're not just driving an old car. You're driving a piece of an era that may never come back.